Hello, beautiful humans. It's me, Kirsten, and this is the It's Giving Mystical podcast. And this is your podcast for the week ahead, the week of September 26th, last week in September, moving into October. If we take a second, just recap what happened in September. So much happened in September. And the moon energy, the moon card, is always going to give us the sense of dreamlike time. So time expanding and contracting and feeling like a day is both an endless thing and a thing that happened in a minute. And if you think back to early September and you put yourself in your shoes back then or where you were, it's been like 3.5 weeks and it feels like a lifetime has been lived in September. Like truly feels like a lifetime has been lived. When I think about early September, I'm like, who was that? What was happening? There's so much has happened. And I love the eclipse energy, and I know I'm maybe an outlier, but there's something very clarifying about it, whether it's impacting you externally or internally or both, whether you're very conscious of the changes or whether they feel more a little mysterious, a little more mystical. It is a clarification. It's like I said in the beginning of this month, that 9 energy, while it's not easy for things to end, we would prefer that things remained as they were most of the time. We're not great about endings. It doesn't feel great to us. Maybe because we're always trying to avoid the great ending, the idea that we will always be separated from our bodies, from the world, from each other. And at the same time, we're always unified. Like we can never be separated from. Life. So much paradox, so much paradox. But this idea of endings doesn't usually sit well with us. And we will find a million reasons not to end something. And yet that limits us. This idea of holding on to things, there's no room for new things. There's no room for expansion or growth or evolution or new situations, new relationships, new adventures. So there is something about the 9 energy coming in that sweeps things clean. And the eclipse has that same energy. It's like the 9-year, the 9-month, the eclipse energy, so much stuff coming to resolution, coming to end. And again, that's happening both internally and externally. And it varies for all of us. And the dimensions of our life most activated by that are going to be different. But we're all going to share this collective experience of September being this time where the slate was wiped clean in some dimension, or the old story was washed down the river, or we left the old story on the shore while we washed down the river. But there's something happening that's clarifying the energy for you. So wherever you are, that 9 energy, that eclipse energy is clarifying, sweeping things clean. Again, comfortable? Probably not. Especially, I don't know, again, what your experience is like, but for me, there was a lot of internal reckoning. There was a lot of internal stuff coming up to be processed, to be seen, to be worked with. Beautiful, amazing, why I'm in this game, and also deeply uncomfortable, very unsettling. And so I hope the end of this month finds you relaxing into whatever is shifting, relaxing into this new sense of yourself, this new sense of reality, what has left you, what has been resolved for you, and where you stand today, moving into this next moment, this next adventure that we're all in together. I've said this on Instagram and I've said this in various other places, but the 2 things I would really remind you of are, 1, your humanity. We always want to come back to our bodies, come back to the human aspects of us, the uniquely human aspects of us, when we feel ungrounded, when we feel like the world is in change or the world is changing in ways that may be uncomfortable, may be frightening for us, may make us angry, or maybe make us scared, or maybe make us sad, or all of the above. There's something very simple. Why all practices call you to come back to the present moment is because, again, that is where all your power lies. All of your power lies in your present moment. It lies in your ability to be fully present in the moment and move from this place of, like, weight doesn't do it justice, but this sense of integrated self, the sense of resource self, the sense of whole self, moving from that place, experiencing what is from that place. And often that's going to come back to your breath. That's going to come back to moving your body. That's going to come back to how you nourish yourself energetically and physically. It's going to come back to allowing yourself to feel joy, to feel love, to feel connection, to feel community in the face of a world telling you it's useless. So this idea of coming back to your body, so key. remembering who you are, like remembering who you are. You are so powerful, so powerful. And it takes most of us a lifetime to remember that in a fully integrated whole way. But you are. And when you get to a place where you think, wow, I'm as powerful as I've ever been or ever could be, I promise you there's more. I promise you there's more. We talked a lot about that in Maiden on our last call. The way the maiden is so fearless. She doesn't even need protection because she's so of the world. She's so here for the adventure, even the hard ones, even the scary ones, even the dark woods. And there's something about the way that she reminds us that our edges, our boundaries may be right and they may be false. They may be kind of false bottomed, meaning that you have this sense of what you do in your life to keep you safe, how you're allowed to move, what spaces you're allowed to enter, how you're allowed to be, what shape you're allowed to take. And oftentimes you're limiting yourself for self-preservation's sake. And there's something about noticing that boundary, and the maiden invites you to explore how malleable that is. So this feels like my boundary. Probably my boundary is actually out here, but I've kind of created this buffer zone. And there's something about maiden energy that just asks you to look at your edges, look at your boundaries, look at your limitations with a little bit of fresh eyes and a sense of they're not meant to be fixed. They're meant to be fluid. They're meant to be flexible. They're meant to be in motion. And so any boundary, any limitation, any idea you have that feels particularly rigid, it's such a great place for exploration. Like it invites your attention into it to say, that feels so important, so true, so rigid. How might I make it more flexible? How might I turn my awareness and attention to it and see what might be behind door number 1, behind door number 2? So I say that because we're in this crazy time. People are freaking out in like 100 different ways. And you get to choose how you show up in that world every day, every breath, every moment. You get to choose where you allow your center to reside. Is it here with you or is it outside of you? And you know the answer. Here with you is the only place you're ever going to move from power. You're ever going to move in a way that feels good, that feels generative and not destructive, not depleting. So I invite you to understand that you have more power accessible to you than you probably work with. Everyone, me too, all of us. The invitation is to come back home to your body. The invitation is to be extremely devoted to your own sense of safety in a world that I get it, that is being threatened. It always has been, but it's very much on display right now. And so there's something about coming back to this, really being devoted to self-care in the most important key ways, not just like nice facials at night, although I love an eye mask. We're really bringing ourselves back to how do I care for myself? How do I create safe spaces for myself? How do I create a life where I'm allowed to be quiet? I'm allowed to rest. I'm allowed to pause. And then noticing where those boundaries, those limitations are a little bit rigid or a little bit fixed, and getting curious about where might I be holding myself back because of old stories, because of fears, because I'm not here in the present moment? What do I yearn for right now? What do I want right now? What is the next right step? Proud parenting moment. My daughter called me the other day from school and she was like, I have a quote I want to read to you. And she read me this quote. She goes, it's kind of like what you say all the time, how like the path is revealed by moving forward on the path. She's like, the next right step. And I was like, the next right step. That's what we're talking about. I'm so glad that got through to you after the probably 1 millionth time I've said it to you. I was really proud of myself. So my point is that we have these kind of limitations that we've put in place, and often for very good reason. We probably have great narrative reasoning, a great story, a great historical catalog of why that boundary needs to be in place. And the maiden energy, the eclipse energy, the sweeping clean energy is asking you to notice where those are particularly rigid as an invitation to there's more. There's more available to you. There's more for you to explore and experience. And maybe some of the fear, some of the limitation is just historical. Maybe it's not true in this moment. And you're only going to know that when you feel safe and centered and good in your body right now. Okay, that's my little chit chat. And the other thing I said that I think is important to repeat is these micro interactions. I do think, and maybe this is just personal, maybe this doesn't apply to anyone else, but I know that since COVID, we've had so much loss. There's been so much transition and change, and we can feel self-protective. I know I do. And I come back to my practices, which often have to do with quiet, with alone time, with making peace in my own system. And I have my core relationships that are always available and alive for me, and I care deeply for those. But there's something about nourishing these casual relationships, these casual encounters, that is so rich right now. And it's such a beautiful gift of generosity to the world to turn to another human that you might not have. There's nothing to gain there. There's no reason why. Just to share love, just to share joy, just to kind of remind each other that we're in this together and that there's a humanity and there's a heartbeat still. Like, it's not over yet. My neighbor lost her husband, a man who I adored and who meant, they both mean so much to me and my children, but particularly he meant so much to me and my children. And watching her grieve, one of the things that she keeps referring to are all of the like tertiary, like ancillary connections that are reaching out to her to remind her how much Gordon meant to them, how much his life impacted them, what a joy it was to know him. And I remember the same when my mom passed. It's like, of course, so many people grieved her, but we would turn these corners and you would hear from people that you didn't even really know existed, and you would hear the impact she had and Gordon has on their lives. And there's something when you're deep in grief that is so heartening about that. And I say that because Gordon was a great example. He talked to everybody. He was like 93, I think, when he passed away, lived the richest, most beautiful life, and was super active until the very end. And he talked to everyone. Like, everyone knew Gordon. Everyone loved Gordon. Part of his legacy, and part of the thing my children and I have been talking about, and I've been talking to Sheila, his wife, about, is this idea that part of his legacy is to remind you how important it is to keep up these kind of gentle, soft connections, just to stay connected to people, just to create community. So that's the other thing I'll offer for you. I'm very chatty today. I'm so sorry. Okay, let's get to the point. The card of the week is the King of Swords. Scratch that. This is so interesting. The card of the week is the Knight of Swords, and underneath the deck is the King of Swords. So this progression from the Knight of Swords to the King of Swords is key in this week ahead. Knight of Swords. We know him. You guys have heard me talk about him. He is the fastest knight in the deck. He is moving quickly across the world. He is passionate. He is driven. He's the one, if you're really stuck, you're in a jam, he's the guy you want to call because he's not going to let anything get in his way. He's faster than the wind arriving at your doorstep. He is also rushing. So you guys maybe know this about me, but when this card comes up, like, I like him. He's not my favorite knight, but I like him. I'm a Knight of Pentacles girl, which is weird. But Knight of Swords, we love him. He's great. And normally I would speak really about the pace. Like, that would be the key thing that I would address when the Knight of Swords comes up. It's just kind of understanding we're talking about air, so we're talking about communication, we're talking about energy, we're talking about ideas, we're talking about bringing an air baby into the world. So creating, writing, speaking, communicating, thoughts, ideas, collaboration, all of that is here with air energy, and particularly with the Knight of Swords, because he's a relational air energy. But today, when I pulled him, I was struck less by his movement, his pace, and more by his passion. More this idea that there's an urgency to what I need to say. There's an urgency to what I need to communicate, what I feel passionate about in this moment. And there's something about his energy this week that feels so good, like a beautiful breeze clearing. Do you know when there's about to be a big storm and wind kind of gusts in and like blows the air and you feel the change in the temperature? That's what it feels like, a wind that comes in and clears the air, shifts the whole energy. And so there's this very, very potent sensory quality to the air, to the way the air is moving this week. It feels like something coming in, like a new air coming in, a new breath, a new movement coming in, and it feels good. It feels exciting. It feels potent. It feels like it's full of potential. And the Knight of Swords is you, and it is people in relationship to you. The Knight of Swords week is an amazing week to collaborate and brainstorm and work it out and talk it out. It's a great time for journaling and sharing your work. So putting it on social media or sharing it with a friend or going someplace where you can really move the air energy around, debate in the best way. There's just something really exciting and good and like kind of, it does feel a little bit like revolutionary in the air around the words we're using, the way we're speaking to each other. It feels like success and it feels like victory in a really beautiful way. I'm going to talk about one other thing. And then the other important thing is there's something about the movement of this Knight of Swords this week that's actually seasoning us into the King of Swords. There's something about the way this Knight of Swords is moving that he's maturing like right before our very eyes. The one thing I want to say about him is, and the reason he's not my favorite knight is because he's so rough on his horse. Do you see his horse? His horse has, his eyes are rolling back and he's doing that thing that horses do when their eyes get scared. And that can mean lots of different things. But this week, what it means is be aware of your impact. So notice your passion, your excitement, your desire to talk it up, work it out. And at the same time, be aware of your impact. So whatever you're excited about, whatever you want to share, just noticing how it lands for other people. We talk about this a lot in Women's Circle, in relating with our children and with our partners and with whoever else matters to us. And it's important that you notice your impact. You want to communicate, you want to share your ideas because you want to be heard. You want to be received. And so many of us are just not heard, not seen, not validated, not appreciated, and talk about that for days. The way it would just be nicer if people were more generous with their praise and their appreciation, like how hungry people are for that. And there's something about this Knight of Swords that's, I have something I want to tell you, and I'm so excited about it. And my responsibility in that enthusiasm is to not throw it at you. John Wineland used to talk about this. He would talk about feminine expression. He would talk about how actually good, full, loud, energetic expression feels to the masculine when it is offered widely. So when I am full of rage or fear or sadness or grief or whatever it is, and I offer it to my partner with an open heart, with a wide stance of this is the depth of what I feel, that's actually incredibly nourishing for a partner, for someone to receive. When I offer it in the kind of this narrow way and I direct it at you, that feels like assault. Same energy, but our offering of it is different. And so it meets the other person with a completely different impact. That's what we're talking about with this Knight of Swords. Like, you're going to feel carried away in the best way. Your only flag is to notice the impact it's having and to make sure that you offer in a way that is a gift to the person you're sharing it with, not an assault on the person you're sharing it with. So I just offer you that. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to say is this movement from the Knight to the King. And this is exactly the point, actually. But the Knight of Swords, let's move him like this, is moving into, in this week, he's maturing before our very eyes into the King of Swords. And the difference between these two guys is impact. The difference between these two guys is perception and awareness of the other. So the Knight of Swords is working with the other, engaged with the other, but in a way to prove himself. Like, I'm the hero, I'm the rescuer, I've got the idea, I'm going to get there, I'm fast, I'm fierce, I'm courageous, I'm all the things. And he matures into the King of Swords. And the King of Swords is actually probably my favorite sword court card because he's the only one that holds the sense of brilliance and sharpness and clarity with a kind of gentle hand, with a soft hand, with an easy gaze. So something about the King of Swords that's taking all of this energy and capacity for new ideas, for moving winds, for fresh air, but he's holding it in a way that invites you in versus rushes to meet you. And so there's just something about this impact, something about where you're holding the energy, something about the maturing of the energy that's here with us this week, just given where we are in the world. That's a really good movement. Like, that movement feels really good this week to say, maybe I've been pushing it a little bit. Maybe I've been rushing to be heard at the expense of my connections, at the expense of what I'm really seeking to do by communicating, which is connect with you. So there's something about this movement from proving yourself to engaging with and connecting to the other through this same air energy, through this movement, this windy energy. So how's that? Take that energy with you. Feel free to say to someone this week, super curious about what you have to say. I'm excited to hear what you're excited about. And I need you to be aware of your impact. I need you to take a breath, hold your energy, be with yourself, and not ask me to hold or take the full impact of what you're working with. Yeah, like slow your roll. Like a little bit of that energy. Can you say that to someone with love and curiosity? And I'm pumped. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. You don't need to rush through this. We don't need to get this all sorted today. I'm here for you. I care about you. I'm interested in what you have to say. Take a breath, take a minute, take a beat, and then share with me in a way that I can be with you. I can journey with you down the road of whatever mental path you're laying out for us both. And do the same vice versa, right? Offer it and then also ask for it, both in the same. Okay, cool. Oh, September. I don't know, but I'll be sad to see you go. And yet I also will be sad to see you go. We are stepping into the medicine wheel tomorrow with the IU of Papa Messiah Shaman School. I could not be happier to be doing this. I feel incredibly grateful and so excited to be with this next group of people as they enter the medicine wheel. So excited to be with my teacher, Stephen. Just feel so blessed to be part of that. So I don't know that I'll get the October reading out right away, but I'll get it out soon after Monday. And we're finally moving into the sun. I was not crazy. And the Wheel of Fortune, which is just interesting and fun and exciting and a lot of movement. And it should be very warm movement. The downside of the sun is it can be too hot to handle, but let's see. I'll sit with the cards and see what comes through. And either way, more change, but a very different kind of change than the 9 clean slate, than the eclipse energy. This is let's spin the wheel and see what's next on the agenda. So there's a little bit more of instead of an excavation or clearing out, there's a little bit more of to the future, a setting things up into where we're headed next, which feels really good. Sending so much love to everyone, and may you find your peaceful places, your quiet places. May you be a peaceful, quiet place for yourself. And whenever you can, may you be open-hearted and generous enough to share the beauty of you with the world just because you can, not because you get anything from it, not because it needs to mean anything, but just because you're human and you're creative and you make art and beauty wherever you go. And may you do that freely, generously, and may you have fun while you do it. We don't know what's next. We might as well squeeze the juice and fun and play out of the moments that we have access to it. It's our sacred duty to do so. All right. I love you guys, and I will check you later. Bye.